My name's Maelani, and I've been going to Beacon, I think since the middle of 2016. So, is that 9 years? Yeah, I think about 9 years. So I was thinking about it. Yeah, I don't know, he's so many things, and so it's kind of hard to pick one attribute, because he's different attributes of him stick out at different times. But I think the most consistent thing he's been to me is a place to be at home. I'm a military kid, so my whole life I've moved around. Every 2 to 3 years I haven't been in, I don't have a childhood home or a house that I can really say I grew up in. And every place that I've ever lived, he's been the consistent thing. And so even when I remember one time I was sitting in my room in high school, and things were really tough in my family at that time. And I remember I was sitting there and I was in my room, and I just remember thinking, I just want to go home. But I was home. And so I've been kind of coming over the years to realize no matter where I am, I always have that, I just want to go home, and it's him that I want to be with. So I grew up in the South of the States, and so I grew up in Bible Belt culture, so I grew up in it. But it wasn't until I did VBSs and I did all those types of things, but I came to know Jesus. I got baptized when I was 11. I was baptized as a baby, but I was baptized again by my own choice at 11. And it was at the end of a church camp that God allowed me to go to, and it was just all of those events were just God moving things. And it was from that point that I was okay, if I can't just haphazardly follow Jesus. So that's when I remember I would tell my dad, okay, it's Sunday, we got to go to church. Come on, we got to go. And so before that, it was more we went some Sundays, but if we were tired, we would stay home. But after I got baptized, I was okay, I got to take this seriously. And so I was kind of annoying about it. During that time, my parents' divorce was really fresh, and my mom was doing a lot of grieving, and my dad was doing the single dad thing, and there's just so much emotion, and I felt so responsible for everybody's peace, if that makes sense. And so the church camp that I went to, the youth pastor at that time, because I was in middle school, he was telling me about it, and I was I don't think I can go. I visited my mom for the summer, so I didn't want to take away time from my mom. But it was also expensive, and I knew my mom was paying for lawyers, and it was a whole bunch of things, so I didn't think I would go. And he was let me talk to your mom. If you want to go, let me just talk to her. And so he did, and the church covered my fee, and I went to the camp. And I remember I was sitting with a bunch of friends, and they were playing, it was Indescribable, Chris Tomlin. It was really early 2000 type of thing. And I just remember they did an altar call, and I went up to the front, and I just fell on the floor. I can't remember the last time I talked about this, but I just fell on the floor, and I was kneeling in the front, and I was just praying, and I didn't even care how long I was up there. And by the time I looked up, I realized that I was the only one up there, and I don't know how long I was up there. And so then the youth pastor talked to me afterward, and he was and I was what do I do now? And he's well, the next step would be to get baptized. And so I did that pretty much, I think, the weekend or the week after I got back. My family, my dad had always called me the peacemaker. I would like to think that it's because of Jesus. I just would always see both sides. I would always try to make ends meet. I would be the one trying to bring peace to the conflict. Yeah, I think there's a lot of church hurt in my family, unfortunately. But I always tried to be a space where they felt safe. And they knew how I felt about Jesus. All my sisters, my parents, everyone knew how I felt. But they would still come to me. And so I think I hope that he used me to bring some stability. And even though I didn't feel stable, there was so much going on. But I think even through my failure to really rest in him, and during that time, he used me to be a little bit of a safe haven in my family in the conflict that we were in. I was in middle school, right? So I was 11, turning 12. And so middle school, I was I in high school, I remember thinking back to middle school, thinking that I peaked. I was like, that was it. That was the high. I'm never getting back to that. But another way I describe it is that as my faith was growing, there were weeds of self-righteousness that were growing with it too. And so I thought that I was being a good Christian. And then my dad told me that we had to move again. And I was like, God, what do you mean? Like, I've done everything you've asked me to. I pray, I go to the clubs. I did a Bible study in middle school at my lunch, and I would pray when no one else was. I was like, I was doing all the things. Like, why are you moving me from a life that I saw for myself? And so when I moved to New York in 9th grade, I was still on, I would wear like Jesus is enough shirt to school. Like, I was really loud about it. But when I got into like wanting a relationship or wanting to fit in, and I realized I wasn't fitting in, I remember thinking, if you're not going to give me what I want, then I'm going to do what I want to do anyway, because I deserve it. Like, I deserve to do what I want. And then that launched me into 2 years of a steady decline. And I just remember, like, towards I think it was my junior year, I just remember looking in the mirror absolutely hating myself. Like, I didn't like who I was. I felt like I was living a double life. And I just felt so, like, I was like, if I was to pick anyone to be friends with, it wouldn't be me. And I was so mean to myself. And I think it's because I was living a life that was contradicting to what the Spirit was telling me. Because I believe I was still a Christian at that time, because I was baptized and saved when I was 11. But I missed the point of Jesus, which is he wants my heart. And I could do nothing for him for the rest of my life, and he would still love me. And I just needed to prove myself, and I knew I wasn't. He wasn't giving me what I wanted. And so I took things into my own hands, and things were falling apart. And so I didn't want to pray because I knew it was my fault, but I felt ashamed, and it was just like so many emotions that I felt. And then at the end of high school, I went on a mission trip. Probably around the middle of high school, I went on a mission trip, and I remember thinking, this is the most me I have felt in a very long time. And then I described it as I didn't have the strength to keep that happiness when I got back home. And then I went on the next trip. And when I came back from that trip is when I guess I rededicated my life to Jesus. And I was like, okay, like, there's only one way to do this. And it's to abandon everything and just to follow him. And so that's where I picked back up. There's just a sensitivity that Beacon has. Like, the people at Beacon have a sensitivity to the people around them. Like, there's just such a warm welcome. Like, everybody, and even if you try to slip out, there's like a culture where it's like if you call Beacon your home, there's a culture that we have that you just want to know the people around you. And I felt that from the first day that I came, and back when I couldn't tell Robert and Trevor apart. Like, I had no idea who anybody was. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, like, these people really want to know me and know my family. And there were a lot of us to figure out. And so I don't know, I think it became an extension of that experience of home that I was craving. And so I just really, I don't know, Beacon has become home for me in so many ways. And my first mission trip, like I mentioned, it was the most me that I'd ever felt. But this one was actually kind of funny. I went on with the trip with one other person from Beacon and then a random team from New Jersey. And I just felt like being, like, serving people and being with people who love Jesus. It just felt so comforting. And so then I went on the other trips, and I've been on many trips since then. And it's just like the way he moves when you're serving people is just unmatched to what, like, everyone tells you that, you know, put yourself first and to do these things. And there is a place of soul care and caring for yourself. But I think most of the joy that we get when following Jesus is by doing the things for other people. And I've experienced that time and time again. And Beacon gives so many opportunities to do that. And another place that I have felt like God moved was Sarah Barahona. In high school, she was my discipleship leader. She stuck with me. She knew I wasn't doing the right things, and she just still like was consistent with me and persistent. And what was just so cool was years later, she was able to be my matron of honor at my wedding. And so it was just really sweet that like she didn't give up on me, even though I was trying to give up on me. And I think that's also Beacon. Like they won't give up on you no matter how much you want to quit. Like they're there until like the bitter end, whoever it is. So back then I recommitted to reading my Bible consistently. And at that point, like I had mentioned, I was in a relationship that wasn't honoring to God, so I fixed a lot of that. Just corrected a few things. And I also started to read not to check off the box or to reach a goal, but I read because I needed it. Like I remember thinking like, if I don't read today, I'm a mean person. Like I'm not a good person if I'm not reading my Bible. And since high school, that has gone up and down, but it's still true. Like I am the best version of myself when I have the word fresh in my head and in my heart. Not as consistent all the time, but I'm learning as well that it's not about the performance. It's not like he is so after my heart that I could do everything perfectly, but if I don't actually want him or actually let him know me, then it doesn't matter what I do. But if I am really earnestly like just stripping myself down to just my heart and him, like everything I do becomes an overflow, if that makes sense. There's a passage in 1 Peter where he's saying like, if you speak is like you're speaking the word of God, and if you serve out of the strength that the Lord gives you, so that in everything that Jesus can be glorified. And I was like that's been my prayer, just like everything I say and do, let it be from your strength instead of mine, so that way Jesus can be glorified. Because if I do it out of my strength, I feel the difference. I had like a hole in my understanding. I knew that I was valuable because Jesus died on the cross for me, which is so true. I didn't realize that I was also inherently valuable because he created me. Like he created me in the way that I think, in the way that I talk, in the way that I relate to people, and just who I am as a person is beautiful and good and valuable. And so I was like, oh, I'm nothing without Jesus, which is true. But it's not the whole truth, because I'm also inherently valuable because of Jesus. And so my identity is, I feel like since I was little until now, he's just kind of like making my understanding a little more holistic, because it's not, I'm only valuable because he died for me. It's like, or he didn't just make me this way, so this is who I am. Like, it's just so many different aspects of what he did on the cross for me. And so my identity now, I know is not in my performance and not like in my perfection, as much as I try to make it that, but it's also, so it's in the overflow of what I do for him out of his love for me, but it's also just me being me. Like he just loves me. I know, it's crazy. Like he just loves me because he made me, and he was like, you're worth it. Okay. That's wild, really? So yeah, I know I'm valuable now. Or when in a good headspace, I remember that I'm valuable. Matthew 6, I think that 27 to 36, something like that. I was reading it today, so hopefully I'm not butchering it. But that's where he says, like, don't worry about your life. And then he starts talking about the grass and the flowers and the birds and how he cares about all these things. And I was listening to a sermon today, because that verse, like, I clung to that in high school, because I was like, okay, because I'm an anxious person, unfortunately. And I remember I clung to that. And I was listening to a sermon recently, and they were saying that it's not do not worry and then I work myself out of worry. It's he cares about all these details of the world, and he cares about my heart as one of those things. Like, how much more valuable am I than the bird? So it's like, do not worry. And that, whatever that brings up in me, whatever anxiety I feel when I hear that, that's what he wants to talk to me about. That's what he wants to address. And so I think what I've been learning is, because I'm also a people pleaser, and so I need to feel valued by those around me to be okay. And what I've been learning is that makes me anxious. But if I find myself in like every relationship, friendships, a relationship with my parents, relationship with my husband, relationship with anyone I serve, like if I do it because I need them, then I'm going to crumble into myself and want to just sleep all the time, and I'm just so stressed. But if I do it out of a place where it's like Jesus knows me and loves me, then I can do so much more. 2 parts. 1, don't pretend like you don't have it. Don't pretend that you haven't been hurt and like feel like you can't talk about it because people would judge you or get defensive. They might. The church isn't perfect, and I've learned that it's the reason we're all together is because we're all broken, and our brokenness rubs up against each other. So you might have a bad experience with somebody, but don't pretend like it didn't happen because everyone's supposed to be perfect and all of these things. So it's to be honest with yourself and be like, I'm hurt here, but also don't allow yourself to stay there, to just sit in that bitterness, because it will eat you alive and it will threaten your faith, because it isolates you. It's like, well, I've been hurt, so I can't trust these people, so I'm going to pull away. And that's the very thing that the enemy wants to do, is to pull you away from the people who can actually heal that hurt, and through Jesus and through the unity that he wants from us. So I would say be honest about it. Don't hide it. Church hurt is real and people are mean. But also find those trusted people in the church that can help you to process it. And also pray, because Jesus saw it too, and he did not like what happened to you. Like, he weeps with us. And so if you were hurt by something, talk to Jesus, because he cares about that. And then I pray that when you're able to bring that to Jesus, that he'll also provide people within the church to help you process it in a way that honors Jesus and honors even the person that hurt you, and honors you as the person who was hurt. I was thinking on the way here, like, what was something I wanted to say, and like, I don't always get everything I want when following Jesus. So I might want to buy the thing, or I want to go to the place, or I want to have that type of relationship or that status. But those things aren't actually what I need, or even really what I want. And so what I really want is to be secure. What I really want is to be heard. What I really want is to be seen and stable. And those are things I need, and he will provide those. So I don't always get what I want, but he will always give me what I need. And he also doesn't give me what I deserve. And so I can so easily feel so entitled to a comfortable, happy life, but I came from dirt and I will return to dirt. And if I see it from that place, then I have a lot more to be grateful for, and I can just turn to him. And so he satisfies every need in the way that we need it. And it can hurt, and it probably will hurt at times, but we're gonna hurt anyway. And I'd rather hurt with a loving God growing me than to hurt with no point or purpose.